Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Welcome into a live stream here tonight. New college football playoff rankings. Yeah, those come out at some point. I'm not sure exactly what time. Thoughts on the cabinet meeting? I didn't watch it. I heard Trump was sleeping. Trump fell asleep a few times for the cabinet meeting. Did you see Portland, Oregon refusing to call it a Christmas tree for the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony? Huh. Yeah, they like phasing out words that invoke Christmas or Christ. That's liberal wokeism 101, unfortunately. We've been seeing you see more and more of that. It was kind of going away a little bit, I think, over the past few years, but they're already out. The rankings are already out. They probably came out at 7 o'clock. Thoughts on the boat strikes in Venezuela? Well, I mean, the boat strikes are one thing, and I think people are kind of misconstruing it. You can see from the aerial footage that those are obviously drug boats. So you want to strike them because they're bringing drugs to the United States or whatever. That's one thing. But I think clearing the airspace and potential strikes inland, that's it just creates an entire different can of worms. And I get they want that regime out, and that regime is they just blatantly cheated in the last election, and it's really bad. And you could argue it's strategic importance for the United States, but I just don't know, man. I mean, I don't think it's going to, at least in the short term, I don't think it's going to be great for Trump because it's just there's just more murkiness, and maybe in 3 or 4 years you look back and say, well, that was a good thing they did, getting Venezuela under U.S. control to a degree. But I think it's just really cloudy. It destabilizes the region, and they say that you don't know who exactly is going to take over. You don't know what's going to happen to the country if the regime falls. It's like we wanted to get out of this stuff. I mean, this is the exact same thing you hear with the Middle East. It's a little bit different because it's a Monroe Doctrine area. It's Latin America, South America. Yeah, I think the presidents do need to be younger. You can see it with Trump, but you could see it with Biden. You could see it. They're just too old, and that's something that's going to happen. It's something that's going to be happening. I think no matter what, it's inevitable. Both sides are going to get younger in terms of the presidents. Has to happen. How quickly does Supreme Court rule on auto pen? I don't think they're going to rule in. I mean, there's no way they did the auto pens without knowing that it was legal. I think it just has. I think Biden just has to know that they're happening and approve of them, and those will be legal. Actually, those auto pens, I believe. I mean, they're not that dumb to go through during their control of the executive branch and make a mistake like that to where all of his executive orders become void because of an auto pen issue. I think they can't obviously he can't sign an auto pen with Biden not knowing about it or not approving of it, and Biden's just gonna say he approved everything. So Rubio talked about Miami today. Ron DeSantis has been talking about Miami making the college football playoff. I'm not even kidding. I'm not sure exactly why, but he keeps talking about it. He's like fighting with people on X over it. I think it's a bit strange, honestly. I mean, I guess but it's like it's a college football team, and there's a lot of D1 college football teams in Florida, but he really wants Miami to make the playoff, I guess, and they're I don't think they're gonna make it, but they're in a battle with Notre Dame on who should make the playoff, I guess, and he really wants Miami to make it. Duke beats Virginia. Boise State beats UNLV, and Troy beats James Madison. An 8-5 Duke would be in the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they got to do away with all the auto bids. I think the auto bids are really fucking this up. The problem is you can't do auto bids when the conferences are this unequal. I mean, the ACC is so much worse. This is why the auto bids, because in that scenario, if that happened, you could just put BYU in at 11-2, but they can't do it because the auto bids are taking up the last spots. I think they're going to demand and the auto bids should go. And there's no reason people need to bitch about the auto bids going. It's the reality of the fact that these conferences are ridiculously unbalanced. I mean, it's clear there's two conferences, but way better than the other two. It's not even close. So why does every conference get the same auto bid structure? It doesn't make sense to me. And now it's so bad with the ACC where it's like next level. I don't even know if Duke would go. I guess maybe they would in that scenario, but I don't think that scenario is going to happen. Do you know about Trump making millions off crypto with Steve Wickoff? No, I don't know about that. I know he's probably made a lot of money. I don't think anyone really knows how much money he's made off because nobody knows his wallets. So, no, they're not going to expand the playoffs to 32 teams. Thoughts on Tucker and Miss Rachel being nominated for Anti-Semite of the Year, but not Nick Fuentes? Yeah, I saw they do that. I saw that last year as well. The anti-Semite, so that's like a yearly award. Yeah, I don't know. The Miss Rachel, it's just a bad look for them. It's such a bad look to nominate someone like that. Like, how do you think that's going to be a positive? I don't know. Imagine Miss Rachel wins it. Tucker, I could understand because he made a bit of a move this year, I guess, to be more anti-Israel, just anti-interventionist. Odds Indiana wins the Big Ten. Well, I'd say their odds would be like 30 to 40% chance. Been watching clips of the Chinese military parade this year. You really like the way they march. Our parades could look like that if not for boomers bitching about being dictatorial. Yeah, no, they definitely do a better job with parades. And, Trump tried to have that. They ended up saying it was a celebration. They didn't even call it a military parade back in June because they were complaining and they were saying, well, this is like it's a dictatorship. It's authoritarian regime. You can't do it. So then what they ended up doing was it was like some type of history thing where they would bring out, I think, different equipment from eras of U.S. military lore. It made no sense, but they should be marching. I mean, they do marches in China. Are the Chinese National Socialists? So if we're gonna compare everything to the NSDAP, I mean, I don't really understand that. Like, we can't do anything. It just gets anything that's even close to being in unison. looks cool. It just gets compared to Nazi Germany, so it's a problem. Hopefully they'll do something next year because it's like the anniversary, 250-year anniversary. They changed the rankings pretty significantly. Well, maybe the lower spots. I don't think there's much that. I mean, A&M had to fall. We know A&M had to fall, and sure some other stuff happened, but let me see. I'm sure they're on here. Wow, they moved A&M down to 7. Wow, Ole Miss at number 6, Oregon at 5, JMU at 25, North Texas enters, Tulane up to number 20, Texas in front of Vandy, Bama at 9, so Bama moved in front of Notre Dame. And Notre Dame fans have got to be a little bit concerned with Miami now at 12. I mean, I don't think they can really do anything though. They're not going to do that. They're not going to move Miami in front of Notre Dame now because I mean, their games are concluded, right? They normally never do that. Yeah, but Alabama's not going to stay at number 9. Wow, Notre Dame may end up number 10, so that number 1 seed may be very important. Probably will be. Vandy deserves to be there. They don't have the resume. They just don't have the resume for it. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. You go 10-2 in the SEC, everybody thinks you're going to make it, and I thought those teams would make it, but also some of that is well, I mean, they're at 14, so they're a little bit of ways away from even, if there were no guaranteed at-larges. But the guaranteed at-larges will take these 2 spots away because it has to be Power 5 teams in these 2 spots. Or no, it has to be conference champions, I believe, in these spots. It's some bullshit like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but so that would not be, well, BYU is probably going to get knocked out. They lose. Miami will get knocked out because of the auto bids. And then they'll start bitching. But yeah, if Notre Dame's if Bama loses, they're going to drop back to number 10. Pretty much guaranteed. But they'll still be in the playoff. Notre Dame at number 10 so they can keep Alabama in no matter what. Yeah, but they really should keep Alabama in no matter what. You're not going to punish them for playing in the SEC championship. I mean, unless they lost by like 40 points. If they lost by 40 points, I would understand. Well, Texas Tech, yeah, if they get a bye, I mean they're gonna get an auto, they're gonna advance via bye, and then they face probably they face Oregon. I mean it's hard to gauge Texas Tech because they're in a bad conference, so they're probably a good team, but I mean no, they are a good team, but it's like the conference they really haven't been challenged much. I mean maybe when they faced Utah, but I don't know. They faced BYU. Is BYU really a huge challenge? Notice how even though they expand, it's never enough. Yeah, no, and then when they expand to 24, the 25th team is gonna bitch. Yeah, but that's just the human nature of it. They're never gonna. It's just gonna change on who's bitching. Now the 3 lost teams are bitching. When it was a 14 playoff, the 2 lost teams and sometimes the 1 lost teams would be bitching because they didn't make it. Now the 3 lost teams are bitching, and then they expanded again. The 4 lost teams are gonna be bitching. I mean, that's just kind of what's gonna happen if they do decide to expand it to 24, which probably honest. I mean, I don't know if that's the final. I don't know if that's the final thing they're gonna do, but um, if they do go all the way to 24, that's like an FCS model, and all these teams are gonna make it. And then it's like, well, you're just teams are already guaranteed to make it, so it's I don't know, it's whatever people prefer. I guess in terms of the format, but the preference is always going to be more meaningful games. They want to make more money. It's capitalism 101. They want more of a product. They want an extended postseason, basically. I agree with you. I think they do need to they need to stop the conference championship games. But then the problem is they lose inventory. And really, these conference championship games, the SEC conference championship game does matter for seeding 100%. The Big Ten one, not so much. The Big 12 definitely matters. The ACC obviously matters, but it's kind of like irrelevant. Like, no matter who wins the ACC conference championship, they're going to lose in the first round. I mean, Virginia's going to lose in the first round if they get in. Virginia's at 17, and they didn't rank Duke because Duke is like 7. Yeah, Duke is 7-5. Michigan fell back to 19. That doesn't surprise me. Did you see Trump calling the lady in Minnesota a dumb bitch? No, I didn't see it. You're an OU fan and you don't deserve to be in the playoff. Yeah, I really, I mean, honestly, Oklahoma, in terms of a resume, they do deserve to be in the playoff, but they're I don't think they're one of the 12 best teams. I don't think they're one of the 12 best. I mean, maybe they'd be like 12th, but with auto bids, they would be out for me. Just if I had to rank the 12 best teams with auto bids included, because you have to include a group of 5, they're just not good enough offensively. That's their problem. Trump calling Walz a retard was the most basic thing he's done in a while. Well, how about the stopping immigration for the third world? That was pretty good. Can't even argue that there are 12 teams good enough to win the Natty any given year, maybe 6 to 7. Yeah, but that's just bullshit. I mean, Ohio State was literally 8th and they won the national title last year. I think that's kind of that's like a bullshit narrative. Like you just said, there's 6 to 7 teams. They the first year the 12 team playoff, the number 8 seed won the title. Like that to me seems like a logical fallacy to say that. What's your opinion on Crowder? Steven Crowder, you're asking? I don't know. I don't really watch Steven Crowder. I have seen more of his clips. I think I followed him on X, so now I see more of his clips. Um, I don't really have an opinion on him. I think he's on Rumble, so but he still is on YouTube as well. I think, but I just don't watch him. He was getting into some fight with Jillian Michaels, I believe. I remember Jillian Michaels from the Biggest Loser. Remember the workout show? She was a trainer, but now she's like part of the Republican Party or something, and she's trying to police speech. Saw something about that. Black Friday retail shopping or retail spending was good this year. I heard there were good deals. It's tough to tell with Black Friday. It's all online now. But the thing is with Black Friday, you want to see deals that are actually noticeable. Make something 50% off. Make something 40% off. It's like if it's 20% off, is it really worth it? There's always deals every day, but they need to make it to where it's like a clear out sale or something on Black Friday. That's when I was younger, I always thought it was just so cheap. And I feel like they used to have better deals when I was younger. They would make stuff so much cheaper. Now it's like, oh, it's 10% off. I mean, come on. NCAA needs to open up an investigation on Auburn's receivers. No, they didn't have Alabama money line. I mean, Auburn came back in that game. They were down 17 to nothing. They came back, and I think Alabama has issues. I don't see it this year with Alabama. I could see a first round loss for Alabama this year. They're just one dimensional. I mean, if they face Oklahoma, I think they'll beat Oklahoma in a rematch. But I don't see them winning a second game. I guess it'll be dependent on because if they beat Georgia, that's a huge game for them. Then they probably get a bye. Committee ranked Notre Dame ahead of Bama just to get more attention. Admitted that Bama just looked good against Auburn, so they flipped the two. God forbid we use objective metrics. To me, it's irrelevant whether they're ranked 10th or ninth. Because think about it. If they lose, they're going to stay at 10. No, no, no. If they lose, they're going to fall back to 10 or stay at 10, depending on if they're ranked there. If they win, they're going to move up anyways. I think them being ranked ninth is kind of irrelevant. I mean, when people say, well, if they lose, they're not going to make the playoff, they don't understand what the committee values or how they do their rankings. The committee is not going to penalize Alabama for losing to Georgia unless they get just annihilated by like 5 touchdowns. They're not going to penalize Alabama for playing another game against the top three team. It's just not going to happen. So if you think Alabama has a chance of not making it, they're going to make it, even with 3 losses, because it's an extended season. I mean, it's they could be 10-2 and not be in the conference championship game, and they'd obviously make it if that was the case. I don't see them punishing Alabama for losing. Is A&M done? I'm not. I'm not. I think A&M kind of got an unfavorable spot there. I understand why. You look at their overall resume, but they still have a good strength of record, so that surprises me that they're at 7. I mean, they could have been as high as 5, realistically, I think, with between those one-loss teams. But at least I was seeing people say 5 or 6. So them being at 7, if they have to face Notre Dame, that's going to be a challenge for them. They get them at home. They get them at home. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. They may end up facing Bama if Bama loses in a 7v10 game. Or if it doesn't, if Bama wins, I think they probably, well, it's going to be hard because then George is going to fall back, and I don't know where George will be ranked, but because then it might scramble the rankings a little bit. The 10th team gets booted if BYU and Duke both win. Yeah, well, if BYU wins, obviously that's pandemonium. Because then you're talking about 2 Big 12 teams making it potentially. Because then, I mean, Texas Tech is still probably in because they're at 4 right now. But yeah, I mean, if that just craters another spot, then Notre Dame would not make it. I would imagine that Notre Dame would not make it. So you are right. You actually are right. That is pretty meaningful that they ranked Alabama in front of Notre Dame. Because now they can justify, if that happens, which I don't think it's going to happen, but if that did happen, then, BYU would obviously be one of the 12. And you would have probably Notre Dame missing it with Bama still staying in because they'd have to chop them off. They'd have to get them out because there's not enough spots. These auto bids got to go, man. I think people are getting sick and tired of these auto bids. Do you think Candace is on Adderall or something? Not being able to make up her fucking mind about who killed Charlie Kirk? No, it's 1,000% a grift. She's grifting, so she changes it every week to try and keep the attention span of her audience. And it's so obvious, and honestly, it's sad, and it's still happening. But at what point does this end? This is like a fake storyline with Candace Owens. She said her life was threatened. Now she's like trying to call people, and she said nobody's picking up. Nobody cares. Like, she said she called Trump personally or something, or Trump's people, and he didn't do anything. The FBI didn't do anything. She is just creating the storylines in her head because it's attention. What is your take on why Crowder will still have Nick on? Or will have Nick on? Yeah, it's because he's been mainstreamed. So Wow, thank you for the donation. Roll Tide, love from Australia. Yeah, well, that is good for Alabama to move up in front of Notre Dame. Notre Dame fans got to be pissed. I mean, Notre Dame is still sitting in an okay position because they're still in front of Miami, but they need BYU to lose basically, which they probably will. I think she just gets a big reward from continuing these storylines. That's what this is. If she moves on from Charlie Kirk, I would imagine the viewership would drop pretty substantially. Now maybe she'll conjure something else up. Maybe there'll be a big thing that happens and she'll be able to keep it. But I think this is probably like this is the big national story. She had these huge streams, and so she wants to keep this going. But to keep it going, there has to be like new evidence or something else that comes out to be able to keep the attention spans, because how long can you talk about the same thing? I mean, the Charlie Kirk thing was horrible what happened, but now it's just gone on too far, and there's just this reward system. Maybe she's just waiting for the next major story to happen, so she'll shift her focus to that. But I mean, it's every week it is something different. It's something different. It's a new storyline. If Virginia beats Duke, does that mean Miami's out? I think Miami's already out. I don't really see how at this point how Miami can make it because of the auto bids. Are they really going to have a change of heart in a week and say, hey, you know what? We actually think Miami is better than Notre Dame. We value head to heads more now. The Miami is out. They cannot make it. Texas is out. They cannot make it. I believe because they have to take the best five conference champions. So that's two more. Again, those are two more spots. Miami's going to be knocked out. Group of five is going to have to be ranked over Miami. Wait, hold on. So if the top 10 spots are there, yeah, I mean it's because think about it. Then Virginia has to be ranked 11th. Group of five has to be ranked 12th. So they would be out. Miami would probably be 13 because BYU would fall to like 15 if they lose. Did you see Mark Kelly calling out Trump, saying he's responsible for the shootings? Well, it's just pure gaslighting. No matter if Trump tries to protect the communities with the National Guard, it's his fault. If he doesn't, it's his fault. It's always going to be Trump's fault. There's really no way you can't operate under the Democrats' purview. They're going to blame you no matter what. It's really irrelevant. They're going to blame Trump because what the National Guard is trying to keep the city safe. I mean, I they say USC's recruiting classes will be Well, USC took like 35 players. I don't even know how you could have a recruiting class that big. Really, it's more of the quantity than the quality. I mean, USC has good players in their class, but I think they just have a massive class. Like, how do you take 35 players? These teams, this entire system within college football, nobody really knows. Like, you can't even take 35 scholarship players in one class. You're gonna have to process some kids, basically tell them you got to go look at other schools because you're not gonna play here. You got to go to the transfer portal. Like that's a massive oversigning to take 35 kids if they're actually gonna do that. Thoughts on Chiefs dynasty dying? Yeah, I mean last year to me they never should have been in the Super Bowl anyways. They were showing signs last year. They won a bunch of really close games, and they shouldn't have been in the Super Bowl. People kind of, it's like, wow, the Chiefs have this dynasty because they keep making the Super Bowl. But last year, they were not that good of a team. They kind of lucked their way into the Super Bowl, and then they got destroyed. And then this year, it's just more of the same. Who's the biggest grifter of 2025, Laura Loomer or Candace Owens? Did you see that Loomer now has a spot at the White House press and now has her own room there, too? Laura Loomer does? Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't like calling all these people grifters, but when you constantly do the same thing and you do the different scripts, same thing. It's like the Charlie Kirk show, like for the 50th time with Candace Owens. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's shameless. But Laura Loomer obviously is extremely pro-Jewish, and I mean, obviously she has her allegiances with them, with Israel. So yeah, somebody tell me what happened with that Tennessee House. Right, you know what? It's probably on here. Hold on, where is this? Do I not even have it pulled up right now? It's probably on here. It's 90 10. Oh, yeah. Hey, when do the polls close in this? I really don't care, honestly. I mean, I hopefully the Republican wins, but yeah, the Republicans gonna win in this seventh district. But people are like, well, they're not performing as well because it's a plus 22. They say it's a plus 22 Republican district. I think that was just during the last election, and Republicans overperformed. Trump overperformed. Hopefully, Ohio State doesn't have to go against Notre Dame in the second round like Oregon did. Yeah, no, that would be bad if they had to face Notre Dame because you look at the betting markets, man. Notre Dame is, I mean, Ohio State would only be like 5 point favorites or 4 point favorites over Notre Dame. You'd much rather face a team like Ole Miss or, I mean, who would be the best team to face at that point? Virginia. Well, Virginia's probably not going to be in the second round, but a team like Ole Miss in the second round, Oklahoma would be good to face in the second round. A three-loss Bama would be fine to face, just because they're so one-dimensional. Well, I didn't know what Rubio said about Miami. I don't really get the point of these guys commenting, but I'll take a look at it, I guess. Just a bunch of Cash Patel clips. Matt Van Epps, that's right. It's like a 90-10. I mean, we'll see what the margin is. You know, they'll make a big deal if the margin is closer, I'm sure. But it might be like a plus 7 or 8. That'd be a low margin. No way it's going to be a 20-point swing, right? Well, it's an off year special election. I don't know about the area, like, because the other thing is, this is the context you have to understand. They're saying, well, it's a plus 22 Republican district. Well, is that based off of 2024? You have to understand 2024 was an extremely favorable environment for Republicans, extremely. And on top of that, you had the extra Republican boost of it being a Trump election year. That's when you're going to get the best turnout. So I don't know what this district was prior to 2024. Like in 2021, you know, what was the margin? That probably is more accurate than comparing it to an election year. You compare it to an election year, that's really not fair, just based on the Republicans and how they perform in an off year, and also just in general, you're really not supposed to do that. That's more of like a propaganda thing to say, well, the Republicans don't have, they've already lost all their popularity because look at what happened in 2024 now in 2025. Well, in 2024, that was a general national election. Yeah, obviously Rubio is saying they should be in because of it's Florida. But Florida has so many, they've got Miami, they've got Florida, they've got Florida State. I mean, is it really, do we really need to have this campaign for Miami to make the playoff? They're not going to make it now.
but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Okay. Thank you very much.
What were they, banging a gravel or something? Do you think Charlie Kirk knew he got shot for a split second? No, it happened too quickly.
Which is barely a country. You know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look into that.
Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Ozzy, you're praying we get more of this Trump that we see here, not Zion Don. Yeah, you know, we have to see the policy outline in terms of implementing something like this to where, I mean, it is good, you know, they're going to have to start using the net negative migration numbers. But,
because I want to run against it, whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, you know. But I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. And you know, I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Waltz is a grossly incompetent man.
Mr. President, do you think he should resign over the fraud scandal in his state?
And who should?
Tim Walz, over the fraud scandal in his state.
Look, I think the man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched J.D. destroy him in the debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent, and I had a man and a woman. I thought she was very incompetent too, but now she's leading the field, and I think she's leading the field in this for the nomination. Anyway, look, that's up to them. That's up to the Democrats. You know, the problem with them is they have really bad policy.
Tim Walz, Mr. President, do you think he should resign?
what is he talking about? AOC? I don't think AOC is leading.
Their civilian infrastructure and U.S. investment in the Christian region. Are you willing to providing them the support? And if I had this question, tomorrow the United States is going to open and inaugurate one of the
Speak louder.
Yeah, of course.
Is that possible? What? You're the most gentle, beautiful voice, but you're a very gentle person. Go ahead. Just take fewer words and louder.
Yeah, sure. I will repeat my press.
Fewer words and louder.
This, and I know I'm last, so I wanted to be fast, but there was a lot to cover. I do want to say this is the most wonderful, magical time of the year. By that, of course, I'm referring to the college football playoffs. And I just want to say this as a point of personal privilege. And I'm a Florida Gator, but if the University of Miami gets screwed out of the college football playoffs after going 10-2 and beating Notre Dame, the whole thing should be scrapped, and you're going to have to take over it next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not gonna make it. They're gonna have to scrap it because Miami's not gonna make it. Got a connecting flight to Minneapolis. Literally 96% of the airport staff was Somalian. That's got to be a joke. Is that for real? 96%? Seems like you're trolling. But I honestly, I'd probably believe it. I hear the airports are just they're extremely diverse. The airports, people say you go to an airport and it radicalizes you. That's all right. I don't need to go to an airport. I don't need to be radicalized. Yeah, I don't know why he would say that. It's just like if he's a Florida Gator fan, I don't think Florida wants Miami to make the playoff. You're from Minnesota, you would say so. 12 conference champ, 12 conferences or 12 playoff spots. Bro, stop. Just stop. That's next level stupidity. You're gonna have the give the group of you're gonna give the Mac a spot, bro. You heard DeSantis is a Bucks fan, Buccaneers. That would make sense. They're a Florida team. Well, there's a lot of areas in Minnesota that I'm sure are mainly white. It's a cold weather state. There's a lot of Caucasian areas, but you get those cohorts in the big cities, and it happens everywhere. It happens in every major city. Every major city is like that. Not to where it's Somalians, but just in general. If you want to see the effects of mass migration go into the DMV, yeah, well, the DMV is horribly run, notoriously terribly run. You want to see what communism would look like? Go to a DMV. It's state run. Yeah, they can't. There's no. Those workers are just terrible, and just the entire process of going to the DMV is it's a communist simulator. The service, another communist type simulate. Well, this wouldn't work because you're buying a phone, but if you go into Verizon and the people dealing with those people are just brutal to deal with. You go into like a phone store, there's always issues, man, with those people. T-Mobile, Verizon, whoever it is. It's always this very long process. You go into a Verizon store, you're going to be there. You might as well pitch a tent. You're going to be there for 3 hours. Even if you set what you should do is you should call before and say, I'm going to come in. I need to have somebody ready. We'll set an arrangement. We'll set a pre-planned date and time so people will be able to help me. You go in there and there's other people they're helping. They help people. It takes like 3 hours. It's never easy. Who goes into phone stores anymore? Well, it's you have to go into phone stores. That's the way you get a new phone, and you have to transfer the data. Yeah, I saw that photo. I saw the photo of them at a dinner. It's not bad in Ohio. Apparently, Ohio has a good DMV. You saw from online. Never had a bad experience. Well, that's not really how you judge DM. Singular DMVs, I guess, can be good, but just because one DMV in Ohio is good doesn't mean the entire state is good. Now, Ohio does not have a good DMV. I've been to DMVs in Ohio, but again, it's like that's just normally how it is. It's you've been watching for a while. Hope you're doing well. Well before the election. Don't think I've ever commented. Well, I appreciate that, Devin. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I'm not. The result is going to be a Republican victory, but yeah, the margin's probably going to be a bit closer. So that'll be something that they try and. I mean, that's like an irrelevant local election, though. What does that really matter? It's like a one-off election, just like the others. Go do a DMV up here in Washington State. You'll tell me how many white people out of 50 you have, maybe 5 to 10. 5 to 10 out of 50 in Washington State. Well, that's, what is that, Seattle? Probably Seattle, I'd imagine. It's very, very diverse there. When AI starts taking away everyone's jobs, and we'll have foreigners taking the remaining jobs, we might actually see a flashpoint. Well, nobody knows exactly what AI is going to do. So there's like Vegety, and they're going to take all the jobs. Well, I'm not too sure exactly what type of jobs they're going to take. I mean, we'll have to see. And it seems like people overestimate technology and when technology's evolved and ready. So I don't know when that's going to happen. But people just say that like they're taking all the jobs. I don't even know what that means. What jobs are they like? I think there'll still be jobs that humans have to occupy. But then if they take a bunch of the jobs, they're going to have to give some type of universal basic income. Think about how bad that's going to be. You live in Tacoma, Washington. You live in the south section of the city is conservative. Yeah, Tacoma is, I'm sure, better than Seattle. Wait, is the conference championship for the new bracket ACC or Big 12? What if Texas Tech wins Big 12 and Duke wins ACC? Could Duke be in with? No, Duke wouldn't make it. It's very confusing. It is confusing because they take the five best conference champions, but Duke wouldn't be one of the five best conference champions. Believe it or not, because they have five losses. So Duke would be out of it still, even if they won. Well, I guess if James Madison lost, then maybe they'd make it. It's so annoying. Steelers fans were chanting "Fire Tomlin." Yeah, they got to move on from him. I mean, it's beyond time. The Steelers have the thing to where they don't want to fire their coaches. They like the continuity. But at a certain point, I mean, they've been ever since Roethlisberger retired. They've been very stagnant. They've been like a 500 team. You got to move on at some point, and they really should try and get a young quarterback. I guess they did try and get with Kenny Pickett, but what they're doing now is they're just prolonging being average. Yeah, JMU and Tulane might make it. It depends if they win, but imagine if they win. Then that would be really broken, and that people would be pissed off for sure. Any updates on Tennessee? Um, it's hard to really say. 87-15. It's gone down a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's like a local election. You're going to Amfest. Hope Trump shows up. Yeah, I think that's a big enough event to where Trump, although they never promise he'll go to those events, but I think Trump will probably show up. That's good for propaganda purposes. That's like the biggest Republican event of an off year, and also especially after the Kirk assassination. Tucker Carlson, They were trying to get them. They were trying to get Charlie Kirk to not platform Tucker Carlson at those type of events. They should remove the yeah. That's I think what's going to come out of this is they're going to have to remove auto bids, and really people should not complain. The issue is the conferences are obviously they're not even close to equal. So you can't give auto bids and weight it equally in terms of the auto bids you give if the conferences are not equal in general. That's I think the main problem. Are you blackpilling on immigration now and accepting the fact that the issue won't be fixed towards conservatives' liking? They won't get everyone. Well, I think there's a big difference between legal and illegal. It's just immigration in general. Immigration in general won't be fixed because there's already been too many people that have been let into the country anyways, and it's a capitalist society and they need workers. And there's things you value as a country. Obviously, this country values GDP growth. So if that's the case, and the Caucasians have a low birth rate, you're not it's not going to be fixed. There's no way you can fix it. I mean, it's already been changed at this point to the point I believe of no return, at least in the major cities. Are you sad you cannot run for president since you weren't born in the U.S.? Yeah, I was born in Ohio, but I'm definitely not running for president. Did you see that Nigeria has more babies now than all of Europe combined? Yeah, but I mean that's just but based on birth rates that I've seen, it doesn't shock me that that's the case. And I don't know the type of impact that's going to have. I guess it depends if those people try. A lot of those people try migrating to Western countries. That would have an impact, depending on if the immigration policy is not fixed. BTC at 100K by the end of the week. I don't know. Is it going back up? Dude, I don't even know with BTC. BTC acts so independently of many of the alts. It's hard to even get excited, you know. But I guess it's better. I mean, it's better if it recovers. Yeah, it's better if crypto needs it to recover. Too bad Trump won't have the balls to make it to where only third generation Americans are allowed to vote. Yeah, but it's not even Trump. Like I wonder even trying to implement something like that, what you would need, because that's voting rights you're taking away. So that's like a significant change to the Constitution that would probably be one of those where it requires 2/3. So that's not possible to even have done, I don't think. Gas is lowered in Washington State. Trump. No, gas should be down pretty much everywhere. I mean, in places it's going to be higher just because of gas taxes, or in some areas it's harder to get gasoline to, so the prices stay up. But yeah, most everywhere it's going to be down. Crude oil has been down for a while. So if crude oil is down, gas is going to be down pretty much everywhere in all the major areas relative to where it was. I mean, and it's really down. Now, that's people are not too impressed by that, obviously. It doesn't really change much. Thoughts on moving to Spokane? Washington? No. Crockett Cortez, Jasmine Crockett, AOC 2028. Yeah, they would never do that. They would run like Newsom with Crockett or Newsom with AOC. That's what they would do. They're I think entrenched to Newsom right now. I mean, we'll see. Still a ways away. Do you think white people have any chance of reversing trends after all the pro-immigration protests is full of whites? Pro-immigration. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see the protests, but I mean, there's always going to be white liberals. It doesn't surprise me. I think the UK has a chance. It seems like the UK, their demographics are they're they have a much whiter populace than we do, and they seem to be. I mean, I don't know. I don't live there, but it seems like they're really pushing against the immigration, and even the Liberal Party has to be against the immigration now. So I think maybe some of the European countries are going to have a better chance. In the US, it's just been happening for so long. I don't know if it's like a psyop or if it's just, the US has very good overall life quality for normal people. So maybe that's a reason. But, in the UK, they're going crazy over it, even though they're, more liberal than us. Duke were to make the playoffs, there would be riots. Yeah, that's a broken system if Duke makes it. There's no way around it. And then that's just because the ACC sucks. I mean, that's a product of the ACC. Obviously, if there's an ACC team that you're going to put in, it should be Miami. But with the auto bid process, it probably will not be. Have you seen the visa fraud in Minnesota? I did see a little of that. I saw Waltz actually talk about it. It seems like Waltz was admitting that, yeah, there's some serious problems. He was bitching about it and saying, well, they're looking into it for the wrong reasons and insinuating that they were doing it because they didn't like Waltz. But he was like, yeah, we have to cooperate. We want to help them. We want to stop this. So it seems like it's a real thing to me if he's going to admit that. Now, I don't know what they're going to find exactly, but best metro to move to with 1 million liquid. Well, you should invest it, is what you should do. You shouldn't have 1 million liquid unless you've got, millions already invested. But I don't know. I don't know about metro areas. Depends what you want in an area. Can Trump get anything accomplished if Dems win the House? Yeah, he could do little. I mean, you still have control of the executive branch, so you have executive authority. So he can do certain things, but it's going to be harder to get any wide scale stuff, and it just gives Democrats more power to bog down his administration. They have to use, in a lot of the cases, the federal judges to do it. So then they'll just use the House to do it. It's a lot easier. And a lot of the times, the federal judges, it just bogs it down. Whatever Trump's order is, it only bogs it down for a few weeks because it gets overruled by the Supreme Court. They'll just be able to use the House to, he can still do executive orders, things like that. But like the bigger policy, it becomes a big challenge to get it through the House if they have control of it, because they're going to galvanize against, no matter what Trump wants to do, they'll galvanize against it. It's not even like there's a, I guess it depends on the policy he wants passed, but they hate him so much. If they have control, they're not going to let him pass anything. Gonna make any more crypto vids? Not on this channel, no. How will Groypers ever gain power if they never surpass 25% of the population? If they have 50% support from 50% of white population? Yeah, I don't even see how that's. I mean, what even is? Are they even a political party? I don't even think. I don't even think the Groyper Party exists. So At this point, they need it to get a lot worse. If something, when you get the extremes when the country gets worse. So the country would have to get to the point to where they would want a radical change. Bro, are they actually? Holy shit! Well, I mean, that's they'll definitely. This is like a feminist radical bitch woman who's running for the Democrats. Almost almost every county has shifted plus 15% to the left. Well, that's it's going to be a close one then. But I think they'll. I think Epps will pull it out. Yeah, I saw the report about Cash Patel demanding he have some type of coat. Cash Patel is, somebody told me that they thought Cash Patel was going to be gone, and I said I don't think so. I don't know if Cash Patel is long for the administration with some of the stuff he's done. I'm not sure how much longer Cash Patel has. I know everyone says it's going to be Hegseth that leaves first. I don't know, man. I mean, I guess Trump hasn't said anything bad about Patel yet. You have to be kidding me with this. Yeah, they're going to lose their minds. I see a lot of Tennessee Republicans who are like, you got to come out and vote. You got to keep this woman from winning. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I don't know exactly. Well, I mean, can you really blame, migration to the state if it's plus 22 Republican in 2024? I don't know if you can blame migration for that. There's not that many Democrats that moved in a year. I mean, Tennessee in general, I would imagine has to be at least slightly getting more liberal because think about Nashville. Think about the come up of Nashville, probably the surrounding suburbs. That's how it tends to happen. But Tennessee is still obviously a conservative state. Nashville is such a shithole now. I mean, I guess it depends on. I've never been there. There's gonna more people, I'm sure. More people. A lot of people moved there. 73-27. Nashville has a lot of young people in tech there now who are obviously blue. Yeah, I mean, anytime you get migration to an urban area, it's very likely going to be more blue. Republicans lazy voters compared to Dems for special elections. They can't be counted to show up. Yeah, there's definitely a level of civic duty that a lot of these Democrats have that Republicans don't in terms of voting in these type of elections. The Republicans just don't think it matters. I feel like they think the big one matters once every 4 years. The midterms, a lot of them, but an election like this, I mean, there were signs with the a few polls, but I mean, even if the Republican wins, it's not looking too. It's gonna probably be a very close margin. If she wins, will a Republican lose the House? No, 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 no. This is one district. Republicans have lost in 26, 28. Nah, you can't really say that. It's a bit early to say that. These off year elections are like whatever. Yeah, Juan. I don't know honestly. I mean, it's hard. There was really no impact in 2024. Maybe there'll be a bigger impact in 2028. I can't really predict because young people in general don't really vote. So I'm not too sure on that. NATO is starting to talk tough. They don't want peace, obviously. Well, that is part of. I mean, I don't know what the context is, but that is part of negotiations. Is you have to remain firm. You can't really give in to Russia, especially publicly. So, but I don't know. It seems like that war is not going to end. I mean, I'll just be honest. It doesn't seem likely. Seems like two sides that will never agree to the parameters that each want. So, I mean, at what point does Ukraine get weak enough to where they kind of are forced to agree to it? Like, at what point do they lose enough manpower? Doesn't that have to be a concern? I mean, it's. You live in 7th District and never saw Ray Matt. You mean Ray? You saying Ray Epps? Matt Van Epps? You mean Matt Van Epps ads? Never heard of his campaign? No, that's what I heard. I heard they did a terrible job marketing it. What did they spend? Zero. They spent no money. Got caught with their pants down in this election. It looks like they spent nothing. And then the last week they're like, "Oh shit, we might lose. Get Trump on the phone." Like that's what happened here. You bet most of the district doesn't know there's an election. Yeah, that's how it works with local elections. There's very low voter turnout. I don't know about in this case. I'm not sure how many people know, but they had their campaigns and whatever, and there's obviously no national focus on it. No, I don't think Mark Kelly will be the DNC nominee. Barack Obama wanted Mark Kelly to be the nominee. He wanted an open convention. He didn't like Kamala, and he wanted Mark Kelly. I don't think Mark Kelly's going to do much. He wouldn't really work in terms of just too much of a lack of charisma as a national candidate. I guess as a VP vessel, maybe, but even that, I find it unlikely. Because if he's the VP, who's the actual nominee? The way they balance their tickets, I don't think they're going to go with a woman to lead the ticket. Did you get BO7? No, I didn't get it. It looks the exact same as BO6. I've just been playing World War II. I've been playing some World War II. I haven't touched BO. I never got it, and I never got BO6. I just don't get the new games because they just don't look appealing to me. I mean, I'm sure if I actually played it, I might have some fun. But you know how it is. If you get into a game like that, you start on level 1 on all your guns. Your classes fucking suck. I don't want to have to level everything up. You're facing sweats. Give me like skill based matchmaking to where you put me in noob lobbies to start. I'd like that. Maybe I'd have fun with that. Out of your three Ukrainian friends, two want to end it now as they think they'll only end up with more losses. Yeah, well, they certainly will, but the problem is, Russia has the leverage, so they're going to demand more land than they currently have, and Ukraine doesn't want to give it up. I mean, they're going to lose a bunch more men. There's going to be very little that gets accomplished. It is better. I mean, think about how the minimal land advances Russia's made over the past 2 years. This is a waste. It's a waste of human life. They need to cut it off, but they just can't do it. They can't find a solution that both sides will agree on. I haven't seen any. What was the last COD game you bought? Modern Warfare 2 2019 was the last COD game I bought. And I didn't like that game. I actually played it a decent amount. That was like the COVID stuff, and I never played the Battle Royale, but I played the multiplayer, and it wasn't even fun, dude. Like the time to kill was so fucking quick, and it's just like I probably had like a .9 KD in that game, honestly. It just where does Brian Kelly go? Honestly, he should go to Penn State or I think Michigan State would have been a good spot for Brian Kelly. I think Michigan State should have hired Brian Kelly. They hired Pat Fitzgerald, and they say, well, that's a good hire for them. I don't know. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald, it's hard to really gauge some of these coaches. Like he won a few some years he won at Northwestern, other years they were terrible. I don't know if Pat Fitzgerald's going to be great at Michigan State. I mean, I think it's a decent hire, but I don't know if Brian Kelly's going to be coaching at this point because like all the spot. Yeah, so it looks like Van Epps is probably going to win, but the margin is going to be within 10, I'm guessing, if this is. They should release COD every 2 years. Well, they say that about all these things. They say it about Madden. They say it about 2K. They say it about everything. So, but yeah, COD is. But they got to stop with Black Ops. They've done enough Black Ops games. The Black Ops games, and they should. They have no creativity. There's no creativity. You don't understand. You thought after Mamdani's victory, everyone would jump on communism bandwagon. Well, Mamdani's a very unique case where it's an absurdly liberal. New York City is extremely liberal. It's full of my immigrants. So you're not going to really have that in many other places where they can run a socialist candidate and win. I push for Notre Dame because of Ireland. Yeah, because of Ireland. I mean, they are the Fighting Irish. You got to respect it a little bit. You do have to respect Notre Dame for being Irish. But no, I'm really not a fan of Notre Dame. I just think, I mean, they seem like a good team this year. They did make the national title last year too. 38 trillion with the debt. Yeah, the debt's gonna keep going up. It's impossible to bring it down right now. Should Hegseth be investigated over this strike or no? I'm not sure what a recent strike. I'm not sure if I don't know what you're talking about. They were doing strikes for weeks and to these boats. I don't know if there was a situation that just happened. Hegseth is it's hard to really predict Hegseth and his stay and if he's going to continue. Bruh. Man, what is with these swings? I guess there's no volume in this. As a Notre Dame fan, you're fuming. We need Texas Tech to win. Yeah, but the thing is, dude, you're talking about them picking you over Miami. I don't see how they don't, because Miami and Notre Dame don't play. You know, the committee says this every single time. They say if the teams don't play, nothing's going to change. They're not going to randomly put Miami over Notre Dame now. But yeah, you guys do need BYU to win, or BYU to lose, I should say. There was an article saying Hegseth was cleared. The order to strike came from a commander. Hmm. How does Alabama jump Notre Dame? Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, really, unless they're saying we looked at the resumes again and reevaluated everything, because just based off of their win against Auburn, there's no way they should have jumped them. That was really not an impressive performance by Alabama. They could have lost that game. They scored a late touchdown on a fourth down. I mean, you could say it's a rivalry, but still, it's just how much credit do you really give them? The Democrat has it in the bag if New York Times is right. Is that serious? Oh, he just retracted the message. Do they have a ticker for that? Nashville early vote is harsh. Maybe that's why he went back down. He went back down by 5 or 6 points. Nashville's basically 85-15. Yeah, Tuberville should win Alabama for sure. That's the early vote. Yeah, the early vote always heavily favors Democrats normally, especially for this. It retracted. That's weird anyway so far. She is up, and the New York Times has the leftover vote predicted to go for her, so she would win by their. Yeah, no, you can't read percentages like that because it doesn't work. That's not going to get you. That's not going to get you the correct prediction by if you read percentages like that. But this is relatively accurate based off of the voting situation, and because when a new area comes in, they factor that in, and then there's an expectation on performance by each candidate, and if one candidate overperforms significantly, that's going to affect this. That's why this is the best to look at in terms of like interpreting immediate data. Or it would be like something like the New York Times ticker, which I think only happens during the general elections. Yeah, well, I think it's going red as well, but it's not. You know, it's a 22 It should be almost should be very non-competitive. Really, this should be not even a thing. It should be 99% chance to one, and it's plus 22 district a year ago. But I didn't watch the CNN election because I was streaming, but CNN does have good graphics normally for their elections. Also, I will say that you can't really deny it. It's true. 50% of their visas they gave out are fraudulent. We've got a big visa problem in the United States. There's too many visas that get given out in general. You know, most of the people that aren't citizens, they're on visas to get citizenship. The visas are a big issue as much as the naturalization. Do you think these smaller, I think the reason that's happening is because they spent no money. I believe they spent no money on that race because they thought, and then with 1 week to go, they dumped a bunch of money into it, but they ran half-hearted in that Tennessee 7th district. It's obvious that they spent no money. A lot of the Republicans were saying they didn't even know it was Van Epps or whoever the candidate was. Do you see the new clip of Tesla Optimus running? Yeah, Optimus is the robot. I haven't seen that clip, but it's hard to really program those things perfect. They've been trying to do it for many years, but they're saying maybe like 2035. Those robots, the robots they struggle with like nuance in terms of their movement. They struggle with being gentle in their movement. They tend to be quite flimsy or stiff. They can't really get the right coordination. A lot of those robots, and so they're working on getting the coordination better, I'm sure. Yeah, right. The Roman Empire is a great example. I mean, I think the U.S. should last a very long time. You would imagine. We're still very young relative to some of these other empires or nation states, but that's when you bring people in, when you convolute the country with people that don't care about it. It may not make a difference when you start doing it, but if you continue to do it consistently, it becomes an issue. The white flag of surrender or truce, clear sign of indication. Yeah, I don't know. What does that even mean in terms of what is it? Did one of the boats have a white flag signal and they struck it anyways? Is that the problem? U.S. should last at least 20 to 50 more years. Bro, that's not long, brother. Maybe the U.S. will break off. I mean, I think everyone's waiting for the U.S. to break off into two different countries or like four different countries or whatever. But I don't know. I guess if the immigration keeps up, it might happen because people will get more and more hostile. Thoughts on Duke tanking the ACC? Well, it's a weird situation. Yeah, it is a strange thing to where a team loses three out of conference games, but then they win and they finish 6-2 in conference. That really hurts the conference for sure. And then imagine they beat Virginia, which they might just do because Virginia's not a great team. No, the boat didn't have a white flag if they reached for a cell phone or one was picked up by the U.S. tech. That's a threat justifying the second strike. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, they're trying to get him on anything. They're trying to get him on some type of war crime, striking a fucking drug boat. Like, seriously? A drug boat? If that's really what they're trying to get Hegseth for. Well, I don't know. What's the election? Well, it looks like crisis averted. Yeah, it looks like it's not going to happen. Ha! Well, I mean, the margin's going to be close, though, I'm sure. Margin. Holy hell. He's going to win by less than 5? Well, no, man, there's a 22% chance he wins by over 10. World Trade Center, thank you for the donation. They tried to say like a Star Wars villain Hegseth yelled, killed them. Wait, what? They tried to say like a Star Wars villain Hegseth yelled, kill them all after seeing people in the water after the first strike. So they struck a boat, people were in the water, and then Hegseth screamed at the top of his lungs, kill them all! And then they struck again, and they're trying to get him for a war crime on that. Really? Dude, come on. I don't know if Hegseth, I mean, did he say anything on it? Did they ask him, did you say kill them all? Oh man. What is I wonder if that's true or not. I wonder where that story came from. Was NNN a success? It's I didn't even look at Polymarket. I don't know. It seems like they can't. This gives us no actual agreement. 43, 26, 22. Like, which one is it? I mean, it seems like a bit of a. Seems like they still have to. Do you think Hegseth is doing a good job? Personally, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to grade them when they're a year into it. I mean, Hegseth is doing what he's been told to do. There's been a few mix-ups with him. Hegseth wouldn't have been my first choice if I was putting together a cabinet. I'll say that. But Change Agent 17, thank you for that. I appreciate that donation. The USA is following the path of the failure of the Greek city-state structure. Rot starts in the metropolitan areas and causes the collapse or the economic, social, cultural threads of the nation. Well, yeah, that's what would be happening. And the major cities just completely losing any type of previous culture that we built the country on. And the major cities have such huge power because of the population density. What's your opinion on the war for Russia? They want land. It's a historical argument. It's very typical in war for a country to try and take over territory they previously had and claim that it's rightfully theirs. So this is nothing new. Yeah, will Bitcoin hit 100K? 50% chance. So yeah, I mean, you really can't even predict. It's had a recovery though. That's what that tells me. It's had a nice recovery. 97. This tells us nothing. Oh, so he is probably only going to win by like 5 or 6. Change agent. Thank you for the membership. I mean, you could argue Lane Kiffin's overrated, especially considering the amount of press he gets, but he is a good coach, and he definitely is able to recruit players. They're going to have a huge NIL war chest at LSU. They're probably going to have a great offense, I would assume. The defense is where it's lacking for Kiffin. That's where the problem arises. President Trump will make an announcement. Yeah, I don't know. He always makes announcements. They tend to not be that big, but sometimes I guess there's something that gets announced. Yeah, absolutely. Epps is one, but it's going to be a close margin. I mean, there's no denying. I'm guessing it's probably going to be about a 5 or 6 point margin. Just maybe a little bit more. So it goes from a plus 22 to a plus 6. It's just more lib propaganda, basically. New York Times forecast Republican plus 3.7. Damn.
Us to be able to conduct this service. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. That's right. Merry Christmas. Say it loud and clear.
People. And Pam, make sure she's fighting for us in court so that we can get up every day and be bold. We're going to hire our 10,000th ICE officer will be on the job within 10 days. So we have hired 10,000. We've had hundreds of thousands of applications. We've got within the department, TSA went through this government shutdown without any delays. They all showed up for their shifts and worked hard doing security, and they have been absolutely fantastic. Sir, you made it through hurricane season, people. And
Republican plus 3.7 New York Times estimate. Yeah, that's a lot of they're hemorrhaging a lot of voters there compared to 24. Yeah, but I mean it's a bit more nuanced than that than with the home issue. But I agree. I mean you got to deport them, obviously. Did you see the polls for Florida governor? Fishback is leading. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that Fishback is leading over Donalds. He's not. He doesn't have close to the name recognition.
We're going to have the safest skies. We're going to have the best system anywhere in the world. We're also going to rebuild Dulles Airport because it's not a good airport. It should be a great airport. It's not a good airport at all. It's a terrible airport. It was incorrectly designed with a good building. Actually, it's got a beautiful terminal. Saarinen was the architect, one of the greatest architects in the world at the time, a great architect. And so they have a great building and a bad airport. But we're going to turn that around, and we're going to make Dulles Airport, serving Washington and Virginia, Maryland, etc. We're going to make that into something really spectacular. We have an amazing plan for it and other things, but you're doing a really good job. I appreciate it. We're going to have the safest skies. We're going to have the best system anywhere in the world. We're all
An airport renovation.
Control of our border.
So this is where Hegseth discusses. Wait, so there was a strike onto one of the boats, and then there were people swimming around. They were still alive, swimming around, and Hegseth was like, just kill them all. So then, what does Hegseth say in response to that? Does he talk about it?
And then it's getting after and going after narco terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own hemisphere. As I've said, and I'll say again, we've only just begun striking narco boats and putting narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to
When Rubio started talking, apparently Trump was sleeping.
approach it with kid gloves and allow them to come across the border. Cartels take over community, 20 million people, hundreds of thousands of Americans poisoned. And President Trump said, no, we're taking the gloves off. We're taking the fight to these designated terror organizations. And that's exactly what
Plus
we're doing.
5.6.
So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the boats, we're defeating narco terrorists, and we're standing...
And Pete, you may say one thing, that drugs coming in through the sea by sea are down 91%. And I don't know who the 9% is.
I'm not sure either, sir, because
But down 91% by sea.
we've had a bit of a pause because it's hard to find boats to strike right now. Which is the entire point, right? Deterrence has to matter.
Special election will be Leonard, judging by. Yeah, it'll be like +6. It'll probably be like +5, +6 if I had to guess. I mean, I don't know.
Not arrest and hand over and then do it again, the rinse and repeat approach of previous administrations. This is meant to get after that approach. And I will just end by saying, as President Trump always has our back, we always have the back of our commander.
Models are overreacting to early voting. They really shouldn't, though. I mean, that's part of the design of the models, is they shouldn't, you really can't react to early voting. I mean, they already should be designed, and there should be an understanding that Democrats are going to do better in early voting versus actual day of voting. If they're not calibrated like that, then yeah, they probably will struggle.
Who are making decisions in difficult situations, and we do in this case and all these strikes. They're making judgment calls and ensuring that they defend the American people. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that, and we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much. Howard?
Ludnick talking about that.
Even
Oh, the entire cabinet must take IQ tests. So this will be interesting.
Chicago's down a little bit because of we have
Imagine the entire cabinet takes IQ tests, and then we get to see.
a minor force there. We could knock it down within 4 or 5 weeks. We could bring it down to almost nothing. But we have a governor that's grossly incompetent, and we have a mayor that's even more incompetent than the governor. He's a very low IQ person. And typically low IQ people don't make good mayors. So I want to thank all of our cabinet members. They're high IQ. Let me see one.
Let's do the tests.
A couple I'm a little concerned about.
Let's have the tests for the cabinets. That would be sweet to see. If they did IQ tests, I would like to see that, but they're not going to do it.
By the way, I took my physical. I got all A's, everything. But they said to me, would you like to take a cognitive test? I said, is it hard? They said, yes. I said, well, I'm a very smart person. Who was the last president to take one? No president has ever agreed to take one. Because when you get into the mid-questions, meaning 10, question number 10, 11, 12, 28, 30, they get harder and harder. And they said, would you like to do it? I said, well, no reason to do it. Nobody's ever done it. I'll do it maybe, but there's really no reason. They said, sir, the problem is this is Walter Reed Hospital. And that's a military hospital. And that means that things are...
What if Trump's just like, we're all going to be doing the pacer test? So that's what I wanted to announce. We're going to be doing a field trip, and the entire cabinet is going to be doing the pacer test, IQ tests, and we're going to make sure everyone is up to standard. I'd like to see something like that. Why are you Catholic when Irish? Because most Irish people are Catholic. So it doesn't even... I didn't even see Vance there. I guess Vance is there somewhere. He must be on the other side of the table. You meant Protestant? Oh, because a lot of it's based on upbringing. If you have a heavy church, a lot of the Irish that are Catholic, they live in Ireland. A lot of the American Irish, it's different. It depends on your family upbringing. If you have a tie to Catholicism, which most Irish families do, but it depends. Epps projected to win. Well, we know he's going to win. And so they're saying it's going to be about 6 points, 7 points, probably, if you want a margin. I just throw out random numbers and then say maybe it's going to be 6 or 7 points. No, I'm serious. I don't even like that meme. It's going to be 7 or 8 points, I think. Cook political. Yeah, everybody knew that race. I knew the race was over when it went to 97% chance. Then these dinosaurs, these boomer dinosaur, election predictors call it like 30 minutes later. Did you see Don Jr. clips with Jillian Michaels? Yeah, I saw those. A lot of people are not happy with her. And then she's like, Nick Fuentes is bad and this is some bad, bad stuff. And then Don Jr. knows he has to thread a needle and he can't really say anything, so he doesn't really give an answer. You bought Epps at 76% on Polymarket? Well, hopefully you invested a lot to make money off of that then, because that's still a favorite. 76. But yeah, no, that would have been a good buy, because I don't really see how... it's going to be like a 7 or an 8 point margin probably. Ray Epps with the victory. You did. There was no way he was going to lose. You're a whale. You invested a few thousand. Trump talks about the new upcoming standard. Trump talks about the new fitness standard to the White House. Discusses adding the pacer test, which maybe Pete Hegseth will do the pacer test. Maybe Rubio will do it. Vance, God knows Vance should do it. Trump should do it. Pam Bondi should do it. Cash Patel and his girlfriend. I mean, this is a huge deal with this new test they have. This is a physical test for the people. We need the leaders to be in shape.
If we're smart, they're not going to be able to catch us. They know that. They told me that. Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever, and we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars, and we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people in addition to reducing debt. We see it.
Alan Lichtman on live stream still thinks Epps may lose. Boomerism 101.
No, I inherited a lot of debt, but it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people, and additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by, over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers.
Would you be able to do a 5-minute mile, or have you never been that fast? No, I couldn't do a 5-minute mile. You'd have to train for it, but even if you train for it, 5 minutes is pretty fast. Sub 6 mile is fast. I think the fastest mile ever is like 4 minutes or something. Anyways, Congress odds for Republicans to win. What do you mean? You mean the House? 21%? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, does it really? The odds don't really matter right now. If we're being honest, the odds don't really matter. I mean, you don't want to peak right now. See, if they were peaking right now, you want to peak in a year. So they can be down right now. It doesn't really matter. The Democrats being up in the odds really does nothing. You can do it under 5:30, and you've been running for years. That's a hell of a that's pretty quick, man. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to abolish the income tax. I don't really think that's possible.
Over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. We've slashed $1 trillion in costly job-killing regulations, saving Americans an estimate over the next 2, 3, 4
I don't know why
years.
people are making a big deal about this election. Like, liberals actually thought they were going to win this. I mean, they should be happy with the margin, you would think. Imagine Epps gets plus 10. Yeah, it would be funny. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be funny. When was the last time the federal government less money? Willingly took less money from taxes? Well, I mean, they run at a deficit every year. They're not going to take less. Fitness test between Pritzker and Chris Christie. Yeah, that would be a good one. I'd like to see that. That would be good. Maybe they could both get healthy and it'd be good for the country. We need like two politicians that are fat to go on a Ozempic or go on a diet or something, and maybe it would be a. I don't think anything is going to help this country. There's too much gluttony. There's too much. It's the accessibility to food, the calorie consumption, the calorically dense meals. I don't think there's. I mean, they would have to. You would have to. There's no way. It's not. You're not going to get people to get that much healthier. Remigration. I mean, what you know? How is that even going to happen? They can't even deport the illegals. I don't know if they're going to do remigration, and like, what even policy would that be? Wait, he actually might win by 10. Probably not, but imagine, imagine he ends up winning by like 20. He wins by like 19. Well, that was all for nothing. No, it's going to be closer for sure, but 7.7% margin. Penn State has the worst recruiting class in the Big Ten. That's because they don't have a coach. I mean, obviously they're going to have the work. Listen, you can turn around a program extremely quickly. So I wouldn't write Penn State off yet. They've got resources. They've got a huge stadium. They've got a big fan base. Don't write them off yet. You can get a bunch of transfers. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, they're in a tough spot right now because they're taking too long to hire a coach with signing day and everything. And I wonder if they thought it would take this long. 2024 total votes were 332K. Today it's 110K. So about a third of the electorate showed up. Imagine if he just won by like 32. Then they would just lose their minds. I mean, why do people get so worked up over like this fucking special election? I didn't even think this was a big thing. But I mean, he's going to underperform. I mean, with a third of the electorate showing up. Your dude at work has major TDS. Nobody likes him. He won't shut up every day. He's crying at a blue collar job. Yeah, blue collar job. That's going to be a heavy Republican crew there. No, I think Nick Saban is going to stay retired. I don't think I don't think Nick Saban is. I think he's done, and he's old at this point. You see these coaches unretire, they tarnish their legacy. It doesn't work out. I mean, he could get in a really good situation for sure, but yeah, I'm still alive. I'll be alive for a little bit longer. He'll underperform due to lower turnout, and they'll go as MAGA's dead. See, yeah, I mean that's how it always works with these type of elections. I mean, we're lucky this was not like a previously plus 12 Republican district. Otherwise, Van Epps would have lost, or maybe they would have treated it more seriously and had funded him better. Because I think this might have been a funding issue more than anything. But I don't know. I don't live in the district. I can't tell you. But people were saying that they really didn't campaign at all. But also, it's an issue to where they don't show up in these off years. I don't know about the Mr. Beast situation. Mr. Beast, there's always something. It's always something, and I don't really have an opinion on Mr. Beast, honestly. I know a lot of people say he has dead eyes and whatever, but I don't really have an opinion on him. Do you trust Mr. Beast? I mean, I don't really trust him. I don't know him. I don't really trust people I don't know. Very, I mean, I don't watch his content. Why does Musk keep saying Jews are white? It's because their presentation they appear white. That's why he says it. He talked about why he says that. He says because they look white. And I guess it depends. It depends on a lot of things. Some of them look more white than others. Yeah, I know. Louder with Crowder is going to have Nick Fuentes. I don't think he's going to debate him. To me, it seems like Crowder is kind of. It seems like it's going to be a friendly interview. I think the Piers Morgan interview is going to be more combative for him, for Nick Fuentes. Are we going to war with Venezuela? I don't think they'll go to actual war. The concern is that if there's inland strikes and just in general destabilization, but it just depends because they've closed the airspace, so people are wondering if they'll do strikes. They've been striking all these boats. They want some type of escalation. They want that regime gone, but they want the locals to do it, not Trump. Agartha, it's a meme coin. Do you support war with Venezuela? No, I don't. No, I would not be. Well, I don't know. There's probably advisement that says this is important, but I'm not geopolitics, things like that. I would like them to not really intervene with something like Venezuela, but because I don't even. They're like, well, we got to get the oil. Well, we said that about the Middle East. Let's lay off on the oil excuse. Let's not do the oil excuse. It's not even for the oil. They want a regime change because they think it's sphere of influence in South America. It should be under U.S. sphere of influence. Right now, they're more allies with the Eastern countries. Venezuela, that is. Did you see the Hawk Tuah girl streaming on Twitch to 9 people? Yeah, well, she had that meme coin and then just dipped out of the internet. I think she got taken advantage of with that meme coin, but obviously, I mean, you have to do some level of research, which I'm sure she didn't, to the people you're partnering with. Crowder was way too kind to Myron Gaines than he should have been. Well, yeah. If he's not combative with Myron Gaines, he's very likely to be friendly as well to Nick Fuentes. If I had to guess, just looking at the lay of that those type of influencers in that sphere. England or Ireland? I'd have to look at my ancestry, but Ireland. But England obviously is a lot more powerful than Ireland. They could. I mean, maybe it is Northern Ireland. We just part of the UK. Maybe that's where I'm from. No, I think I'm from just Ireland in general. Dublin, Ireland. No, I don't know. No, there's not going to be ground troops, but they call anything war. There's any escalation happens, they call it war with the country. There's like that's the thing. The same thing happened with Israel or Iran. It's like, is this really war? How do you define this? I'm not. The U.S. is in a war. I don't really see that. You cannot allow Russia and China to turn every country communist before you freak out. I mean, the country's a shithole either way, bro. Whether they're communist, socialist, whatever you want to call them. I mean, the issue is you want to do a regime change. Okay, it's probably going to be really messy. It's not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out, and the juice is not worth the squeeze. Maybe it's going to be different because it's sphere of influence, South America versus Middle East. Maybe it's going to be better. I don't know. Why does this thing keep moving? It's like annoying me. It just keeps moving. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but is the U.S. an Aryan country? Not it's not an Aryan country at this point. It's a country that's Caucasian, slight majority. You think Hegseth will get in trouble for the boat strikes? I don't know. They're gonna have to. I'm not sure on the situation. Thank goodness Congress isn't run by doomers. I'm on a rant, but you're all bitching all the time. Well, I don't think I bitch too much about the administration. I mean, dude, like the thing is normally I'm very nice and whatever. I just said, it's probably not a great idea to do the Venezuela. You got to have at a certain point you do have to have a personal opinion. You can't just support everything the administration does. What does it matter? I'm not even. I don't even know any of these people. I don't have to support everything they do. To me, it doesn't matter. Like I think you look at the micro picture. It's probably there's a lot of unknowns with interfering in Venezuela. Maybe it'll work out. But I'm not big on geopolitics anyway, so it's not like I have this crazy opinion that needs to be heard by everyone. Crowder is weird with interviews because he hit hard with Dave Smith, but then goes soft on Myron Gaines. IDK, I think the Fuentes interview will go well. They'll be nice to him. Um, Dave Smith, yeah, I saw some of that interview he did with Dave Smith, and a lot of it's like Crowder is still MAGA, Dave Smith is not. But Dave Smith to me, it's like a nuance issue. Well, I guess. I mean, people like that who they're never gonna like either side. During an election season they'll support one side, but then when they get in power they'll go back to hating on. It's like if you're a libertarian or you just anyone in the middle. At the end of the day, who's ever in power, you're gonna hate. Like that's pretty much what that job is, or what that political position is. Why does Nick hate Tucker? Because he views him as a threat in terms of Tucker stealing his audience. What's up with the mass shooting in Stockton, California? Apparently it was gang related. I heard about a shooting at a birthday party or something, but I haven't heard anything about that. I'm not sure. Most of them are gang related for sure. Mass shootings, the vast majority are. Well, Trump's not going to invade Venezuela. That's not how this would work. Just like he's not going to invade Iran. Don't see us attacking Venezuela before the midterms. Honestly, Trump knows it would be super unpopular. Yeah, I mean, well, they're clearing the airspace. I don't know. They might do something. It is still a while before the midterms. I mean, you could attack them right now. The problem is, if you attack them now, it's going to be a saga. It's not going to be over in a day. You'd rather listen to me than none of those guys. Chat complains about prices, but still buy overpriced Nike shoes instead of building equity or getting replaced. Don't start a family. Yeah, but that's not really relevant. That's not that's like a false. That's a false narrative. You can't say that. You can't say, well, because you don't have kids, you don't get to complain about that. That's not how it works, man. This has been happening for a long time. Whatever an individual person does with their life, it doesn't. In something like that, when you're talking about the demographics, no, that's not how it works. Just having I think people should have kids. I think it's important, but obviously people have issues in terms of finances. But that you can't police people from not being able to complain about that type of stuff. We haven't done too well with foreign intervention. Vietnam was a failure. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge narrative. I wonder if that's actually true. I mean, it probably is, but I never really hear the other perspective of that, of where we intervene, and maybe there are some strategical advantages to doing it that people don't really talk about. I don't know. I mean, obviously I know a lot of it ends up in wasted money and not much accomplished because the regime change is really messy and it doesn't work exactly how we want it to work. Yeah, but the other thing is, like, having more kids in general. This is a problem in all the first world countries. The third world countries obviously are not having this issue. They're not as educated on, having children. It's not a situation to where they're in a position to where it costs an exorbitant amount of money because the countries are so impoverished. Anyways, all the first world countries have this issue. See, it's like they say it's Western countries. Well, no, look at South Korea, look at China, look at Japan. They all have this issue, the birth rate problem. The problem is, okay, you have a birth rate issue, but then you replace it with immigration. You're expediting the issue. You're making the issue worse. You can have a birth rate problem, but the birth rate, in terms of capitalism and GDP growth, you want the economy to grow. You have a birth rate problem. There's going to have to be people that do those jobs, or you get robots to do it. Chat talks about getting replaced, but want to bang hot Latinos or Asian baddies, but also want Sydney Sweeney type. Yeah, I think a lot of the chat is against that type of stuff. But it's a personal preference on who you mate with. But a lot of the younger people are against that type of stuff. Can't stand free market capitalism. Capitalism is the best economic system, but yeah, it needs to be reined in to a degree because otherwise you're gonna be dealing with a problem where the margins are valued over the actual country itself. When the profit margins become more valued than the country and the culture, then that's when capitalism becomes. It's a breaking point for capitalism. But we're already so far past that, and it's all pure capitalism. And the biggest issue with illegal migrants is the biggest driver of housing costs skyrocketing. You mean with illegals being here? Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I think land prices in general have just gone up and there's less supply. Well, it's hard to say the demand because a lot of the illegals they're not going to buy houses, but I hear what you're saying. It's a little bit more complicated than that though. New York Times Republicans plus 6.2. Your bet isn't going to hit. You're going to lose $10. Bro, you're losing $10. You said you were a whale. Did you see Sabrina Carpenter crying about the White House using her son? Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. It's irrelevant. Who cares? What is she gonna sue? It's like fair use. I don't know. What does it matter? I mean, they use those. They do those propaganda videos. I don't know. You could say they're corny, but can you guess my IQ? I've never talked to you in real life, Daniel. I mean, I could get a gauge on how smart you are if I talked to you for a few minutes, probably. Epps just went down 2 points. Bullshit. He's not gonna lose. Don't see a lot of white women bragging about banging other races, but just white men talking about banging foreign women. Yeah, that's not common. That's not common. No, there's not a lot. It's normally if you look at the chart, if you look at the statistics, it's white males and females most likely by far. To not race mix, and Asians also very rarely race mix. I mean, you look at like certain cities that have a bunch of Asians in the United States. Yeah, you're probably gonna get some of that. So the last bit of the Nashville vote got dumped. So that's probably why the margin went down. Epps up 4.1 currently. Yeah, but that's all the liberal areas dumped. So he'll improve his margin. White women, race, mix less. Yeah, that's correct. That's what that dude was saying today. I was listening to that video. That dude just blatantly lying about that. Just like such a false narrative. It's funny. They always talk about that. They say, well, they're leaving you for minority guys. That's not true. It's just not true. They lowered the standard of mental retardation. Yeah, no, I know. The standard was 85 IQ. It was it, or is that the new standard? Maybe the new standard's 75 IQ. I'm not sure. White people aren't having enough babies. Well, look, neither are Asians. Well, let me clarify that. The Japanese and the Chinese and the South. Yeah, I know what you said, man. But what you're saying is just not it's not commonplace if you compare it to other races. It's just not a big issue in the race. It's not. You're acting like it's very common for white men to do that. It's really not all that common. I mean, yeah, it happens more than white women doing it, but it's still not all that common comparing it to other races. Does IQ increase with age? It increases and then decreases. But actual cognitive IQ it maxes out, I think, pretty quickly, and then it'll slowly decrease. But in terms of actual knowledge, I mean, you're definitely going to be more knowledgeable, undoubtedly, as you get older, and then at a certain point, you're going to lose some of the memory. Yeah, the YT. I always thought that was weird. I know what that is. The ads have been nonstop for the Tennessee special election. Bro, that would suck. The last thing I want to see is a bunch of political ads during an off year. They go try hard, bro. I feel like they didn't spend any, Van Epps didn't spend any money till the last weeks. No, you're not going to get censored for spelling out white. That's crazy, bro. You can preach population decline as much as you want, but if you aren't having kids, you're part of the problem. Yeah, but that's a very narrowest. It's a very narrow view to way to look at it. But really, it's irrelevant whether you think me or someone that talks about it. If you don't have children, you're part of the problem. It's more of a the conditions within the U.S. have to be improved. But it's not even about fixing the population or the birth rate issue. You have to stop the immigration. You know, if the immigration continues, it takes, I would say, years to decades to really fix the birth rate problem. The birth rate problem is more of a it's a multifaceted problem, but it's a combination of less religion, more feminism, and worse affordability. You're gonna do another up close live stream? I don't know if I might do another one at some point. It's just I don't really see the need some of the time because it's annoying to hold the phone the whole time. You have to get some tripod pot or something. You think Asmongold is a lib? Yeah, he's like moderate or something. But I mean, it's like whatever. I don't watch Asmongold, but he's kind of he's taking the Republican grift a little bit, which is fine. Silver is up 100%. Boomers rejoice. Boomer unite. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would really make too much out of this special election. I mean, I think they probably should have spent more money, I guess. But you know, it was a plus 22. There's a plus 22 Republican district. Having kids is not an affordability issue. The richest countries. No, no, no. You're misinterpreting it. It doesn't. The thing is with the richest countries. Okay, so the richest countries are going to have a lot higher standard of education. If the middle class is worse off than it was, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, the middle class is really what you got to look at. If the situation for the middle class in terms of housing, affordability, living in general, and it is worse significantly just because the country is rich. I mean, technically that could make it worse, and it does make it worse for birth rate because people have more education on it, and they don't want to be bogged down by the cost of having kids. People that or in poorer countries aren't going to have the level of education to understand it, or it doesn't really matter. Good stream tonight. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Poor people simply don't care about the ramifications for having kids. Wealthier people think about the impact. Yeah, right. I mean, it's a bit nuanced, but yeah, that's a big part of it as well. How much can I pay you to plug my podcast? Bruh. Well, how many subscribers do you have? Need another Lego build video? Yeah, I got a new Lego set. I don't know if the thing is I can't even assemble it before I move. I'm not gonna be able to assemble it. I can take a photo of it and share it on Discord though. I'll take a photo of it, but it's a massive set. 83 so far. Well, dude, you don't have to pay me to shout out your podcast. It's not I'm not going to be able to get you many subscribers. And you're going to want to grow organically anyways. Yeah, no, the content is an issue. The adult content. Yeah, no, it it really does it's I don't think people really realize it does mess with your brain chemistry to a degree, at least on your sexual arousal. So it is a problem. You looking at renting a house? Uh, Probably like a townhome or something. I've been meaning to do this video. I'll have to do it. Just like an update video, life update. Favorite Christmas movie? I was already asked this, not by the chat. Favorite Christmas movie. I mean, I always used to watch The Christmas Story. I don't know if that's my favorite though. There's some movies that are borderline Christmas. There's some movies that are. I think Catch Me If You Can is a Christmas movie. It's good, but it's not really technically a Christmas movie. But I like it with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, I do eat a lot. I do eat out a lot because I don't like cooking. Um, I mean, you could say that's a wasteful, but I don't know if it is. I mean, it's like $10, maybe $12. Home Alone, yeah, Home Alone is fine. Home Alone's fine. Die Hard, I've never even seen Die Hard. You're looking to move into an Amish apartment. The Amish still offer cheap living accommodations. Oh my goodness. Obviously, boomer parents not letting their kids stay after 18 is also an issue. Yeah, no, that is a problem, especially if it's a double whammy if they get they're already on debt with student loans, and then they have to pay rent on top of that and work a job like an entry level job. That's where it does become a problem. Yeah, somebody already said that with Nigerians, more Nigerians are born than Europeans. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. You understand these third world birth rates. It's crazy. You need to wish me good luck for your exam. Well, good luck on your exam. What is it, a college course? What's your opinion on collab? I mean, I don't really do look. I don't do the looks maxing stuff. Yeah, I don't do the looks maxing stuff very much. I used to do a little bit of it, but the only looks maxing I ever did was working out. Well, I also think there's something to some boomers hoarding homes. That's a problem. Where they'll just hoard the home, they won't sell it, or they'll sell it to BlackRock and it gets resold after that. First law school exam. Well, good luck. That's a big one. Get Adderall. Adderall is rampant for any exam, I'm sure. But I mean, depends on the person. I've never had Adderall, but I've never been involved in a high level exam. You know the stereotype where boomer sells the house and goes gambling in Vegas. Boomers mentality is the biggest issue, but doomers shouldn't sit. Well, I mean, I guess, I mean, yeah, there are big problems with boomers. That's part of the reason there's this many issues. But it's also just it's kind of a combination of issues. It's the increase in population with legals and illegals versus the housing. Really, in like 2008 with the crash, they just didn't build enough homes post 2008, and so we're many homes short to where we need to be. And so people have, I mean, then the other problem is, so we build a bunch of homes, then people bitch about their home value going down. That's like their number one thing in terms of net worth, is people's homes value. So, what do you guys consider boomers? Just old people. Well, boomers, I think, are like maybe above the age of 65, above the age of 60. What's on my Christmas list? Probably boring shit. Yeah, probably boring shit. It's been a boring shit a lot of the years recently when you get older. Played rock, not rap on a date. Now she won't reply. Rip. Bring a boomer onto your stream. A wild boomer. I do want to start actually. Maybe I should try and reach out to people and see if they'd come on. I feel like that would be better conversation if I had guests, like decent guests. I mean, I could probably get some people to come on. Maybe you just show the credentials. So maybe I'll start doing collabs with people. It'd be better for me. Probably, yeah, I probably will buy GTA 6. You would be a great guest. Yeah, where's your channel, bro? No, I'm not gonna be able to collab with some of these bigger people. I don't have the clout for it. But I'm sure I get a few people that are within my range. Well, if BYU wins, it's gonna be a big problem for the committee. Well, I guess not. They'll just Notre Dame's gonna be screwed, I guess. What would you talk about? Politics, probably. The people. What do you think? I'm a combination of a Zoomer and a millennial? Really? Is that what that is? I mean, I guess if I'm, if I was born in '99, that's the front end of Gen Z. Notre Dame should have moved up. Yeah, I agree. I think Notre Dame's really good. I mean, their resume is not good enough. That's the problem. You'll never forget when you talk to some people from Discord. That lasted like 10 minutes, maybe. Some dude came in and trolled me. He was like, "What are you gonna do after the election's over, bruh?" I mean, I was like, I don't know if I can just make sports content. No, the problem was it was they were all I couldn't talk to people one on one. That was the issue. Now I'm not going to be volunteering on Vivek's campaign. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it there. Should you buy the 17 Pro? I don't know. It depends if it's an upgrade or whatever. I would get the upgrade if it doesn't cost money. Depends what your plan is. You would pay $300? I doubt that. You haven't donated once. You're full of shit. You're going to pay me $300 now? A $300 super chat? Bama would get in over Miami, dude. Bama would get in over Notre Dame, I'm guessing, even if they lose. You'd pay me $271. It's a curious amount. You've donated. All right, maybe you have donated a few $5 a few times, baby. 7K, $7,000. That's what tweets are going for now. $7,000. All right, guys, I'll see you.